Fusion. Fusion is the undeniable best element of Steven Universe. Wait, was I supposed to tease that out for 10 minutes? Would it be okay if I use this time to plug t-shirts instead? I don't know why I asked that, you literally can't stop me. Fuck you, it's a creative medium. It's a washing machine, winged giraffe, and a guy who has a toaster sword, and it comes with a whole variety of sensor versions too. Okay, cool. A lot of people don't quite know how much Rebecca Sugar likes Dragon Ball, but there's a lot of references in Steven Universe, and not just references, even whole arcs and characters are clearly based off of it. Peridot and Jasper, for instance, are clearly Vegeta and Nappa, what with the aliens and the foreboding journey to Earth, and the body types and the...
Fusion is just a cheap tactic to make weak gems stronger. Fusion is just a cheap tactic to make weak gems stronger.
I am hilarious and you will quote everything I say.
Fusion is another one of these things, but the changes Sugar made, I think, were a huge improvement to the concept. See, like, in the original series, Fusion was kind of just another one of the ways Toriyama powered up his characters. Now, it was a cool one, mind you. You get the visual variation you get from the transformation, and it was really cool to think about what characters would look like, and it was all just really unique. But that was about it, with a couple of slight variations between types. The only time it really hit a new level is putting characters in opposed situations where they must fuse, forcing them to work together and thereby reach some new level of development. And that was cool, but situational. Alright, here's where I start spoiling stuff, so bail out now. First off, Fusion in Steven Universe rolls completely into the idea that this is its own character. Whereas there were some kind of grayish lines in the original series, like Gotenks was really cool in that he's like, he takes the playful go-lucky style of Goten and rolls it into Trunks' cockiness. But Vegito is more Vegeta, and Namekian Fusion is more like absorption. Steven Universe fully commits to them being their own characters, although it's sometimes referred to as an experience rather than one or two people. But the show straight up has fusions act like they only exist when they're fused. They can even have straight up like identity crises. Sometimes they even want to stay as fusions just so they can keep existing. It's all very different and unique and takes the weirdness of a concept like fusion to its full potential. And mind you, maybe this wouldn't really work in a fighting series. I don't think anyone really wants to see Vegito have an identity crisis in the middle of a fight, but I think on a conceptual level it is more engaging. But that's not all. The biggest step up from DBZ was this. Fusion is analogous to a relationship. Fusion isn't just a tool, it exists as and requires some form of relationship to work, and in doing so, suddenly the fusion means something for the characters, their relationships, and their developments. What was before just a matter of skill or objects being attached to each ear is now done through a meeting of mutual understanding. It takes that one cool but situational moment where Goku has to convince Vegeta to agree and builds that into the mechanic itself. Fusion in Steven Universe, in most cases, requires character development, rather than like sticking your finger in the right place, which is kind of arbitrary, especially if your significant other likes to experiment. Wait, what was I talking about? Mind you, there are some boring work relationship fusions that don't really mean anything, but the vast majority do a lot more. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really like what The Secret did, and I think Ruby and Sapphire were actually really blind as a couple, but you know, whatever. Anyway, holy shit, the plot twist they achieve with this fusion. So if you don't know, the first season of Steven Universe has one of the most fascinatingly creative plot twists that I've ever seen. I'd recommend watching it without me spoiling it, but you know, whatever, here we go. You find out that one of the main characters established at the start of the series was a fusion the whole time. And that's mind-boggling. Is this even technically a character? It's weird. It completely redefines how we think of characters in story. It's not like DBZ, where Fusion was clearly separate from being an actual character. Suddenly Fusion really was its own character, because it felt no different to one, and the components, the actual characters, were the opposite. Not only was this a fantastically creative trick, but the relationship based on Fusion gives us the why. This whole twist in itself took what was a blandish, stoic character and made something so much more. This was a pair of characters who valued their relationship so highly that they permanently fused as form of expression. Suddenly it explains why Fusion is the only thing that ever got a non-stoic reaction out of her. Fusion is an expression of her love, and suddenly she has a trait that she's passionate about and makes her distinctive from the rest of the cast. And it's all wrapped in this immensely creative plot device that tricked you into thinking this was a normal character. If you've been a regular on my channel, you know that lately I've been equating character depth to character opinions, sensitivities, or passions being expressed through distinctive or non-default choices. You look at any character widely regarded as deep, and you'll be able to find moments in the series where they made a choice. Gonna spoil some random things now to prove a point. If your thing is on the list that you don't want spoiled, you fucking skip to this time. Guts desires Griffith's admiration, so he leaves the Hawk to forge his own dream, even when everything is going great. Griffith values his dream so highly that he sacrificed his friends. Ned values honor so highly that he threw away his life and started a war. Zuko values his pride so highly that he threw away the only one who loved him, and God only knows how many other mistakes he made throughout that series. Hisoka values fighting worthy opponents so much he almost dies doing it and goes back for more. He even seeks kids with potential and spurs them on in order to achieve their end. And Ruby and Sapphire value their relationship so highly that they'll repurpose an 1,000-year-old tool designed for hard labor to literally become one with their significant other. And in turn, fusion becomes something special to Garnet as well. Seeing what she believes to be abuses of it will have a huge effect on her, and her intense understanding of what it means gives you these amazing moments. Like when two characters who are biologically incapable of fusing try and it fails, but the whole experience gives them a moment of mutual understanding, one character will say, "Why are they laughing? It didn't work." And Garnet will just say, "Yes, it did. It worked." It's so good! And now that even gives credit to how the fusion plot twist is executed, where you get a death fake out where you think that her gem got split in half and you're introduced to these two new random characters who are prisoners on the ship, and it all leads to this endearing reunion and the following revenge on the boss with a musical number that demonstrates the strength of their relationship and how glad they are to be back together. Also, the number of snappy one-liners they get out of using the relationship fusion dynamic is amazing. It's all just rather clever, and it utilizes fusion to its full potential. And it shows. The popularity for Garnet in polls after this reveal was both incredibly high and incredibly consistent, and has only in recent years been overtaken by characters who went through massive developments. I wish I had popularity polls before that episode, but hey, this was when the series got popular in the first place, so I guess it proves my point anyway. Am I ignoring the elephant in the room? Look, I get that the Steven Universe community is like, and everything outside it is like literally on fire right now, but I mean, I still like it. I mean, maybe I could tackle the criticisms in this video instead of proving the good and small elements one at a time, but man, I can't be bothered to go through all these fucking criticisms. Like, I get it, right? The title you ripped off from H-Bomber Guy is widely successful as a formula, but like, did you have to rip off his video time too? I'm just gonna do my own thing, okay? Garnet isn't even the only example of cool stuff done with fusion. I mean, there's strong executions of fusion all over the series, but in that very same episode, that boss character who gets beaten by Garnet drags back and tries to convince a character that has been like completely fucked over by everyone, so that she can fuse with her and that she can win. This character accepts, but in doing so we witness a totally different type of relationship that was built on a mutual desire for power, but for entirely different reasons. The fusion in pure anger says, "I'm done being everyone's prisoner, now you're mine." And in the first defining moment of Lapis's character, you see her backstory has had such a huge impact on her that she makes a choice to throw away any hope of escape to trap someone together with her at the bottom of the ocean. And when you first watch it, doesn't quite make sense, because you think it, because the fusion was unstable, it would just like fall apart. But it's not until like 2 seasons later, in another one of the most fascinating plot twists ever, Lapis admits to enjoying their fusion. Even though she acknowledges how fucked up it is, she realizes how good it felt to take out all her pent-up anger out on someone. And Jasper, who was effectively the same character at the time, got to feel the power they had together, which is clearly something she values given how much she fucking used to mock fusion. And now she's coming back to her, begging to get back what they had before, like some fucking deranged fusion junkie. That's so weird and messed up, and it's cool and totally out of left field. You could have just played this moment straight. You could have just said that fusion was just a trick that Lapis used to win a fight, but after that, she just kind of went on with her day. But instead, you opted to create a truly troubled and fascinating character, where what was before an innocent bystander is now corrupted by her trauma and finds guilty pleasure in hurting someone, who in turn had her own immoral pleasures stemming from the arrangement. Now, obviously, there's some clear allusions here to toxic relationships, as well as subtext about consent, and I don't give a shit about doing that in a show, not consent in general. That's a really bad sentence. I should probably just rewrite this line. Fuck it. Look, I don't do allusions to real life. This is why I haven't said anything about the sex metaphors. They mean nothing to the actual characters itself. Fusion to them is just this abstract alien concept, and the real world just doesn't really have anything to do with storytelling. Also, it doesn't work, by the way. It just straight up doesn't work. Fusion is not a one-to-one with sex. That would make this an orgy, this cheating, this pedophilia, this polygamy, and this... I guess you could say this is a clusterfuck. But none of it is ever addressed as such. Yes, this part was probably intended as a rape analogy for some left-leaning politics, but it only works from our perspective. In character, it's just someone shitting on something important to Garnet. Fucking whatever, let's move on. Checkmate, feminists. What is this, 50% black cast? Oh, fucking forced diversity! What I really want to draw your attention to is that a move such as this wasn't practical without fusion. Because what fusion really does is provide you a route to access all the importance and scale of an intimate human relationship without them having to, like, move in with each other or work together in the same building. Like, what would be the non-fusion equivalent of getting this character dynamic to actually work? About the best you could do is have them handcuff each other and have them, like, keep each other locked away for some reason. Making that work organically would be a nightmare. I have like 1 million questions already, and you certainly couldn't make their toxicity a surprise twist anymore. But with fusion, you can demonstrate and build relationships easily with this fantastical concept that even has its own creativity and visual quirks. That's the beauty of Steven Universe's fusion system. Without it, these interesting and abstract twists that added depth and development, they simply wouldn't be practical. There's just so much potential, which on reflection kind of annoys me because we never came back to this development. That was a really sour note to end on. I probably shouldn't end on that, actually. Fuck you, it's creative medium.